Three witches talk amongst themselves, unnecessarily cryptically, considering that they were alone for the entire thing. They talk amongst each other about the circumstances of their next meeting. When? After the commotion is settled, when the battle is lost and won. At sunset. Where? In the field with Macbeth. That name. It sounds awfully familiar. Well, anyways, they wrap up their meeting because they all have lives, and Karen, one of the witches, has a job to get to. This is just a hobby for her, for God's sake. They all chant together. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and filthy air. Duncan one day was conversing with his son, when in walks a soldier freshly returning from the battlefield. The man goes on to tell a story of how Macbeth and Banquo fought that day. The King of Scotland sent his generals, Macbeth and Banquo, to find the Thane of Condor and kill him because of his betrayal. The two walking through the woods hear witches chanting. Macbeth and Banquo get closer to them, and Macbeth asks, "Hey, what are you people talking about? If you are even people at all." The witches, being, witches, tell them that Macbeth will become the new Thane and then king. They also say to Banquo that his son will be king, but are honestly kind of vague as to how it will happen. They return from the woods. The Thane of Condor is found and killed, and because of his bravery, Macbeth is made the new Thane. Macbeth sends a letter to his wife telling her of how happy he is with his new position being the Thane. Lady Macbeth, however, thinks he should be the new king and comes up with a plan to murder King Duncan. The king is invited to Macbeth's home for the celebration of his new title. In the night, when everyone is sleeping, Macbeth takes a dagger and murders King Duncan. He reports back to Lady Macbeth, telling her what he had done. Unfortunately, he's kind of an idiot and still has a dagger, so she plants it on some of the guards. Because I guess women have to do everything around here. The next day, everyone finds out the king got murked. His son, Malcolm, says yeet and bolts. With no one in the king's bloodline to take his place, Macbeth becomes king. After receiving his new title, Macbeth becomes concerned with Banquo still being around. He remembers what the witches had said before and decides to do something about it. He sends murderers after Banquo and his son Fleance. The murderers only end up killing Banquo, and Fleance escapes. Banquo's ghost shows up in Macbeth's dining hall. Man, Shakespeare sure loves his ghosts. At least that's what Macbeth sees anyways. It spooks Macbeth so much he begins to look like he's losing his marbles to the others. Lady Macbeth kills herself because of her hands are stained with blood, and she's going crazy because of it. Macbeth goes to the witches a second time. They tell him he cannot be slain by a man born of a woman, and to beware Macduff. Macbeth sends people to kill Macduff and his family. When they arrive, Macbeth is gone, and they end up killing his family. Macduff sends a mini army to Macbeth's castle. Macbeth says, "You can't kill me. You're born of a woman." And Macduff says, "Yeah, I can. I was ripped from my mom's womb before I was born, like a C-section or something." And then they fight, and he's like, chop, 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 and off goes Macbeth's head. Yikes. Malcolm, Duncan's son, becomes king. Afterwards, he says this: "We won't waste much time in rewarding each and every one of you. My thanes and cousins, you are now earls, the first earldoms Scotland has ever awarded. I'm also going to call our exiled friends home and flush out the cruel agents of this dead butcher and his fiend-like queen, who we believe killed herself. These things or whatever else God asks will do in due course." In the end, our boy Macbeth chose to chase that bread just a little too hard and listen to his wife just a bit too much. Through Macbeth's avarice is a lesson that everyone can learn. And that lesson is, don't listen to women. You will most likely end up the King of Scotland and dead, all in the same day. And no one wants to be the King of Scotland. That was a joke, of course, but it is important to remember that ambition is great when kept in check, and those around you may not always be interested in what is best for you.